I think a mental block is one of the best things that can happen to a kid because it gives you this opportunity to learn how to tune into yourself, to learn how to listen to your brain, to your needs, to gather feedback about yourself, to increase awareness, to learn how to build confidence when it's not there. I mean, it is such a phenomenal mental skill building adventure that you can go through in your adolescence that sets you up for incredible success later in life. Hey everybody, it's me, Coach Rebecca, and we are talking about why smart kids get a little bit more anxious. The reason I was inspired to talk about this today was because I keep being on consultation calls with smart kids who are struggling with mental blocks. I have talked with many of them this week, actually, because they're just kind of part of the formula. And just to rattle off a couple of things, there is basically a formula for the type of athlete who tends to be a little bit more prone to anxiety. So I'm going to read off a list here and just see, does this sound like you? They're talented, although I don't love the word talented. They're physically capable usually. They might have moved pretty quickly through their levels. They love their sport. They are a little higher in the intelligence department. They're a little more sensitive. They are more cautious or anxious by nature. They might be perfectionists. That's a really common trait of someone who gets scared of skills. They have really high standards for themselves, and they might be a little extra hard on themselves. So this is the kind of the classic athlete who gets a little nervous. And how do I know? Because that was me, very much to a T. And so these athletes who are a little more nervous, a little more sensitive, a little more smart, they are more prone to coming up against fear in their sport. They're the overthinkers. They're the ones who get stuck in their head. And this can be your superpower. So just because I said that doesn't mean, oh, well, I'm going to get mental blocks. I better quit now. No, that's not what I'm trying to get at here. I'm going to talk about why this happens and how you can use your high sensitivity, high intelligence to actually be a superpower and make you better at your sport. So let's go. So here is just some of the research behind this. I was like kind of diving into a little research hole earlier. I was like, I see a correlation between smart people and mental blocks, but let's see if the research shows. And yes, intelligent people are more prone to anxiety. So now it doesn't mean that there aren't anxious people who are not high intelligence or people who are high intelligence who are not anxious. That exists. So this doesn't mean like if you're smart, you're going to get afraid. But intelligent people have more active imaginations. They're stronger with their verbal reasoning. So there's just kind of more thinking happening. There's more heightened awareness of possible outcomes. So you've got a little more creativity in there that gives you more potential choose your own adventure walkways that you can go down. Some of those walkways are I go and reach my dreams. Some are I fall off a cliff and die. And, many of us just with a more active imagination are going to have more what ifs cruising through. So you're going to have just more what if. And, I can think of a dozen perform happy kids I've worked with over the years who that is their thing. It's just what if, what if, what if, what if. It's constantly popping up. So this is a really good thing if you're going to be an entrepreneur or if you're going to solve problems. And people who are intelligent are really good at solving problems, but we're also good at finding problems. So there's this balance that you want to be able to solve problems without constantly seeking them. But if you do, it's okay because you're going to have what it takes to solve it. So also higher IQs show greater activity in brain regions that are linked to threat detection and worry. So it makes sense that, the cavemen who were more aware of what could go wrong in the wild survived longer and had offspring. So their offspring are also kind of extra diligent and always looking for what's the problem. So this is something that, had some advantages that you do stay safe. And I talk to a lot of kids who have never been injured. They get scared, but they actually don't have an injury. Now, injury, I talked about this last week, can absolutely set you up for fear. But a lot of the time, this particular athlete isn't getting injured. They are very diligent. They are making sure the board is straight and the mats are right and nothing's crooked and everything's in place because they're nervous. but it actually works and it keeps them safe. So this is a good thing that we're able to look around and go, oh, okay, everything is where it should be. Now, there are environmental factors that play a part in this. So your upbringing is going to change whether or not you are anxious. And that's not necessarily that your parents always make everything easy for you. It's that you've had an opportunity to rise to some challenges and prove to yourself that you can. Confidence comes not from a lack of challenge, but from overcoming challenge. That's why I think a mental block is one of the best things that can happen to a kid, because it gives you this opportunity to learn how to tune into yourself, to learn how to listen to your brain, to your needs, to gather feedback about yourself, to increase awareness, to learn how to build confidence when it's not there. I mean, it is such a phenomenal mental skill building adventure that you can go through in your adolescence that sets you up for incredible success later in life. But if there's trauma, if there's even the small T traumas that are, a mean coach or abrupt changes, that can create more anxiety. When you fall or you have something go wrong, that's going to create a little extra overprotection in the brain as well. But mild anxiety sharpens focus. I ask people a lot, is stress good or bad in gymnastics? And you typically go, it's bad. It puts pressure and makes you, but no, when I run a mental training exercise with gyms, one of my favorite ones is to do this game where I then increase the pressure, and then I go, okay, this one counts. This is the only one that matters. This is your one chance. And I see sometimes the whole team malfunctions, but a lot of the time the group will lock in and they will do the task better than they ever have. It just goes to show pressure and stress are actually quite good. They help you to get your focus in and to focus on the right thing. So there are really good things about having a little more anxieties, that you can actually be a little more focused, a little more diligent. So I want to go through a couple of reframes so that you don't have to walk away being like, oh no, I'm smart and therefore it's going to be a struggle. Your overthinking can absolutely be a superpower. Instead of, I can't stop worrying, what if, that same power that you have can't stop scanning for new options. This brain with a growth mindset is so unstoppable. With a fixed mindset, it will think about every possible thing that will go wrong and why it won't go well. And you can go down that. But if you install a growth mindset, which is what we teach in Perform Happy as kind of our core principle, then you're always scanning for options. You're looking at a setback as an opportunity. You are gathering feedback constantly from a day that isn't that great. You are so powerful when you have a growth mindset layered on top of high intelligence. One thing I'll invite you to do is to question your thinking. So if you have all of these thoughts flooding at you at all times, start practicing asking, is it true? For example, I talked to an athlete today who said that her intrusive thought when she's working on her scary skill is, I'm never going to get this. I always lose it. Okay, so I asked her, is it true you're never going to get this? And can you know in every possible scenario that you are never going to get this? And she's like, well, no, because I've gotten it back so many times. So then she jumped right to the logic and was like, oh, well, no, of course, I've gotten it back multiple times, so I know that I will get it. It's like, okay, is it even true, this thought that pops up and drains your energy all day in practice? No. So once you create that pause in there, adding that mental skill of pausing, examining the thought and going, is this true? When I believe this thought, how do I feel? How do I operate? How do I think? What kind of an athlete am I? Ooh, I don't like it. It's heavy. It feels awful. Okay, what if I never had that thought again? If I didn't believe this thought anymore, that I'm never going to get this, who would I be? And she's like, oh my gosh, I'd be free. I'd just go try. I could actually try after the second one instead of being stuck. I failed. It's going to be a bad day. So just moving into that analysis, use what you're good at, analysis, but ask, is it true? Is this thought serving me? What if I didn't have this thought? Okay, what's the opposite? I am going to get this. And then I asked her, which one is more true? I'm going to get this or I'm never going to get this. She's like, well, of course I'm going to get this because I've done it multiple times. So by the time we had just like this couple minute conversation, she's like, oh yeah, that's like absolutely not even true. The thing that's been bringing me down and draining my confidence for months. Okay, so use your ability to reason by examining your thoughts and not taking them so seriously. Now, we also have this active imagination that's imagining pictures of things going right or wrong. That picture in your mind can be beautiful. and it just needs to be trained. When you train imagery properly, you will learn how to create basically any reality that you can think of. It is pretty wild how incredibly imagery works and how the image that you have in your mind, the beliefs that you have about yourself, absolutely dictate what your life is going to be. Like, I study this, I'm such a nerd about this, and it's incredible. Like, since the 50s, people have been proving that if you imagine what you want and you act as if your life already is that, you start to move in that direction. So using your ability to connect with your imagination is going to help you to build something better. So again, we're analyzing and going, is this what I want? Do I really want to be saying I'll never get this? Do I really want to be imagining things going wrong? No. Then let's learn some skills to build the right image so that I can have what I want. And that's going to transfer into your whole life. I once had this client who I loved this. She was such a science nerd like me. We connected on like, let's be science nerds to the max together. And we were talking about sleep because she was only getting about 6 or 7 hours of sleep every night. And I said, how do you think your effort tracks with your sleep? She's like, I don't know. We should do a study. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, we should. So what she did was she started collecting the data, which was very simple. She just wrote down how many hours of sleep she got that night, and then her percentage of effort at practice. So she'd go back and go like, was that 100% practice? Was that a 90, an 80, a 70, a 60? And she'd just go, where was my effort? And what was my hours of sleep? And then she turned it into a graph, you guys. Like, I love this so much. And she showed me this graph and I was like, I love you. And it tracked the sleep and the effort went hand in hand. So she was able to find the buy-in and go, wow. And then the effort linked to her performance. And it was like, so powerful to see that she needed to get more sleep, to get her motivation up, to get her effort up, to get her performance up. But couldn't be the one to just say, please get more sleep. She had to see it for herself. So if you're the kind of person who likes to obsess and likes to put it towards something useful, start tracking. How's your sleep? How's your nutrition? How's the quality of your effort? How is your performance? Like, I actually love to do like a perform happy score. How well am I performing right now? 10 is I'm at the peak of my potential, and 1 is I'm not performing at all. Then happy. How happy are you? And track that. Okay, so Kant, the gymnast, is saying, is it true doing a skill in your mind is almost as good as actually doing it? Yes, there are studies and there's this principle of functional equivalence that shows that your brain lights up in the exact same way when you're imagining things happening as when you are actually doing things. So if you layer great practice on top of great imagery practice, it will increase your ability to get to confident and to acquire new skills. I mean, there's so much amazing research that shows this is basically mind magic. It's what got me hooked on sports psychology was imagery because it's so powerful. Okay, so then the final piece, how you can use your smart brain to get yourself into action. We're going to collect our data. We're going to focus on the things that will help, and then use some strategic planning. Break it down into manageable steps. Oh, she says, thank you. I'm injured and I can't train, so I'm doing skills in my mind. Yes, do skills in your mind. If you can't train, this is such a perfect skill to be applying in your life. And this is something that we teach because it is so powerful. So yeah, break it down into manageable steps. If it feels too big and overwhelming, don't do the whole thing. Do just what's in front of you. Okay, so using mental tools to transform your supercharged brain into an asset will make you absolutely unstoppable. Now, if you need a little support on that, we are taking a few new clients now. We're like kind of rapidly filling up capacity as we get closer to season. But if you're like, yes, I want to be better at managing my brain, managing my fear, increasing my performance, then get on and schedule a free consultation. You can do that at performhappy.com/consult. And I would love to chat with you, or my team will chat with you to help you come up with some mental skills that will allow you to get the best out of yourself this season. All right, you guys. Good to see you, and I'll see you soon.